I now digress. He's got other things to deal with, where there's all these Facebook pages where they're recruiting. And this is how we caught Democratic operatives in the Rand Paul race who were running against him. People that worked for the other campaign got caught dressed up in John Deere hats and, checkered shirts, kind of what you'd call hayseed outfits, which is condescending to rural people, the backbone of this country, and holding up racist signs. And the media nationally did run with it. Kind of like 2 weeks ago, Hunstman operatives got caught creating ads making fun of Asian people, basically, and implying that, don't vote for Hunstman because he's adopted Asian children and was the ambassador to China. No, it's the issue is that he worked for Obama and that MSNBC keeps praising him. I mean, when MSNBC, the Obama channel, is endorsing you, you know that the person works for Obama. But again, Fox, MSNBC, they all ran with it and called for Ron Paul to apologize. And, of course, none of them retracted when it came out it was Huntsman's people. But now it's come out that they are organizing to dress up as KKK operatives. And then they linked through and found the people on the Facebook, indeed, are people that have protested against Paul. And so they're trying to pick up on this. So this is the type of dirty trick that gets run out there. And they use race on every issue. That's why I've made the point, forget race. Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, they're basically the same person. They're just different parties. One is a Republican, one is a Democrat. But in the final equation, I mean, look at this. Then I'm going to come back and get into all the other news. Look at this Rasmussen poll out today. Voters see all GOP hopefuls as conservative, but Romney and Paul. So they don't see Romney as conservative enough, or Paul even more so, they say. Paul least so. And I guess that shows how by moving the Overton window, by moving political perception, now with Romney, they think open borders, gun control, abortion, carbon taxes, writing Obamacare, that's now conservative. There are limitless. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central, we're here. Many stations rebroadcast it at night. We're very thankful for that. We also come back Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. Then there's the nightly news, 7 o'clock every evening. I end up doing the nightly news on average about 4 nights a week. We have Aaron Dykes that does it as well. Tonight, the health ranger, Mike Adams, is going to be sitting in, another great host tonight, as we transmit it across the world. Paul Watson occasionally hosts it, as well as Rob Dew. Okay, let me do this. Let me just go over some of the headlines that I'll get back into more detail on as the broadcast unfolds today. And then we're going to come back and start going to your phone calls on these issues or whatever issues you'd like to raise. But I do want to throw this out to listeners. I don't usually follow the classic talk radio format of what's your favorite color, or another pit bull ate another child. What do you think should be done about this? But there are times that I do want to hear your view on things. Generally, I open the phones up just as a random grab bag to see what news you're going to raise or what point you're going to bring up that we can then, discuss. It adds that incredible wild card to the broadcast. That's why I take calls. And it's a humbling process to get calls from all over the world. But occasionally, I really do, on a general topic, want to get your view on what do you think is going to happen in 2012? What do you think of the whole 2012 end of the world scenario that I'm seeing more and more in even mainline newspapers and TV, implying that this year is going to be fraught with catastrophe and doom? I don't think that. But I'm already seeing editorials in newspapers where they'll say, yeah, why should we even care? Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura, I saw one of these a few days ago, think the world's going to end anyways. I have never said the world's going to end on 2012. But sure enough, I'm going to get blamed for it. when the world doesn't end, it'll be all my fault that anybody ever thought it was. I know that the media and Hollywood's been promoting it as a self-fulfilling prophecy. That it's a foregone conclusion that the world's going to end, so why should you be politically involved? And I saw this in 2002. Planet X is going to kill everybody next year, so why be politically involved? And I got criticized for saying that it wasn't coming and there's no such thing. I mean, sure, there's hundreds of discovered planetoids out past Pluto. That's why Pluto is no longer a planet, because there's planetoids bigger than Pluto, so you'd have to have hundreds of planets out in the Kuiper Belt. So there's always a grain of truth to this stuff, and then I always societally get blamed for it. I'll be on some of the radio show, and they're like, you're the guy that thinks Planet X is going to kill us. Or you're the guy saying 2012 is the end of the world. No, I'm the guy saying it isn't. But let's be clear about something. The New York Times reported last Monday, and we talked about it a lot, of the headline, Manufactured Doomsday. And we'll put that back on screen for folks who are watching on Prisonplanet.tv. And they talked about the fact that as part of the BioShield program, $9 billion under Bush, tens of billions now under Obama, they have 36 level 4 weapons labs and then subsidiaries, too many to count. I can't find an actual number. It looks like it's over 200, where they're developing every airborne weaponized strain of every nightmare you can imagine. And it's very, very frustrating. Yeah, that's an interesting headline, but the headline is, from the New York Times last week, was Manufacturing Doomsday. Or Manufactured Doomsday. I want to, in fact, reprint that for me, because I want to cover that more later. That's what keeps me up at night. That's what I'm concerned about. Because some of these different weaponized airborne mouse pox and the rest of it kill over 90% of those that comes in contact with. Mouse pox, designed for humans, 99%. How to build it, how to make it in a moderately expensive lab for a couple $100,000 with a good biochemist was released 5 years ago by the university in Australia. That's the kind of stuff I think about. So I'm not saying there couldn't be a doomsday, but most of this doomsday stuff is what we're doing to ourselves, is what we've produced ourselves. It's not because the Mayans said it was the end of the world in 2012, and I'm not saying this stuff's going to get released this year. I'm saying we're sitting on top a keg of dynamite playing with matches, and it's not smart. More news, your calls.
We're on the...
All I've got to do is look at my children and think about all the stuff we have to go through to keep them away from GMO, the bisphenol A, and the fact that it's almost impossible to do it, and that the system is purposefully trying to give us all sorts of illnesses so they can then, like drug dealers, get us addicted to all their big pharma. That makes me get angry again. But I'm not somebody to just get angry and just sit around. And I know you're not, and that's why you listen to this broadcast. I'm here to take action. And by the way, we've got some good news coming up. They're now reporting that the internet takeover bill, SOPA, is dead on arrival because of just absolute backlash. And the system never wants to teach the public that they have power. In fact, that is such a key point, that the globalists never want to give us a chance to meet them head on, to meet them straight on. The same thing happened 2 Thanksgivings ago, one of the biggest flight days of the year, a year and a half ago or so, the National Opt-Out Day. And all over the country, people were refusing to body scan. So for 2 weeks, they just turned off all the body scanners, and even the Washington Post, weeks after we reported on it, admitted that there was a stand down. Now, I thought terrorism is so imminent that they've got to get that old lady to stand up who can't stand up in a wheelchair. They've got to take that colostomy bag off that old man. They've got to rip that urology bag off the lady. They've got to put their hands in the pants and go into the body of Miss USA in Dallas. They've got to go in the pants of a 1-year-old baby and fondle them. They've got to do it to keep you safe. But for 2 weeks, they completely stood down because they didn't want to give you a chance to say no and show your power. And I had told my IT people that January 18th, in fact, we were getting ready to make the announcement today that we were going to go black, go dark, turn the lights off. On InfoWars, we're going to leave Prisonplanet up and have it all direct to one article about SOPA. And you know what? I think I still may do that, but have an article about why they never want to give us a chance to actually fight them. Because if we would have had Google and Wikipedia and Reddit, all started by Reddit, leading the way, and InfoWars and maybe even Drudge turn off that day, that would show people that the internet is built by independent news agencies and systems, and that we have the power to boycott the entire system if they try to kill it incrementally. And that would have shut them down and defeated them. So now they said, just 2 weeks ago, it's going to pass. You can't stop us. We've got, 100+ votes more than we need in the House, a lot more votes we need in the Senate, 30+ votes, they were saying. It will pass. None of this is true. Just like GoDaddy a month ago. And we had, by the way, the guy that started that boycott on, Frederick, IT professional himself. They don't ever, at first they sent him emails and said, so what, do whatever you want, you're having no effect on us. And then they were brought to their knees. And other companies were brought to their knees by the people taking action and exercising their power. So the system never wants you to have a chance to win a fight. They never want you to get in the arena as, a 12-year-old in golden gloves and win your first bout. Because that's going to build your confidence. They never want to build your confidence. They just want you to lose and lose and lose and lose. Same thing. They passed the National Defense Authorization Act. But then they tried to say it doesn't affect citizens. We forced them to admit it did. Then they said, oh, well, don't worry, the president won't sign it, so that we couldn't build opposition. Then he did sign it. Then he said, well, I sign it, but reluctantly, I won't use this power I've got to grab you and put a black bag over your head and have you disappear. But then we've got Santorum in the clip I played yesterday saying, we'll kill U.S. citizens if we want. Of course they will. And Lindsey Graham, that creepy guy, all of them. Because, look, they want these illegal powers, but they don't want to have a face down at high noon with us. So the point is, they don't really have those powers. You can pass tyranny, it doesn't legalize it, but you've got to be able to implement it. You've got to be able to then use it. Just claiming you're king of the universe doesn't make it so. You can walk into the into some big church and walk up to the biggest, meanest looking guy and say, I can kick your hind end. Until you've taken him out in the parking lot and actually kicked his butt, you haven't actually done that. Talk is cheap. You can walk up as a rodeo rider to the biggest, meanest, baddest, vicious bull that's stomped people's guts out and never been ridden. 8 seconds. And say, I can ride that bull. Let's see you do it then. It was easy for George W. Bush, never in combat, chicken hawk with all these deferments to keep him in the Air National Guard. It's easy for him to say, bring it on to the insurgents and watch U.S. troop number of death skyrocket. Yeah, it's real easy when you're not in the arena to say, bring it on. By the way, the guys were having trouble finding that headline because I was calling it a manufactured doomsday. That's how my memory screws things up.